Hey, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for cheating stories like this.
I'm sitting out in front of AP's house to confront him. Today I'm facing my wife's affair partner. 3 months ago, I caught them and questioned her about the affair. She apologized excessively and told me she still wanted to be with me, that she wanted to salvage our marriage, that she wanted to go to therapy, and so on. We've gone to couples and individual therapy. She said all the right things outwardly: she loves me and only me, she wants to solve things, she doesn't want a divorce, and so on. She granted me access to her phone but warned me not to go through it too closely. She vows on her life that she's on the right track to restoring our damaged trust. But she's still seeing him. I discovered it and kept it to myself. I want to serve her divorce papers tomorrow, but before I'll confront her AP to find out what other falsehoods she's been telling me. I'm sure they've chatted on the phone a dozen times since I informed her she had to go no contact. She insists she hasn't spoken to him, but the phone records don't lie. They text almost every day. She's definitely deleting them since I haven't seen them on her phone. But she doesn't realize that deleting them on her phone doesn't mean they're gone from her iPad. So I'm sitting in a vehicle outside his home right now, waiting for him or his wife to depart for work. If he goes, I'm going to follow him to his workplace and confront him there. If she doesn't leave first, I'm going to knock on his door. Update. I'll begin with the previous night. I arrived home from work, prepared supper, and sat down to eat. My wife inquired about my day. Uneventful, I reasoned. That was all there was to it. We ate, played with the kids, and put them to bed as if nothing had happened. She sat in our bedroom with me to watch TV and said nothing. For around 2 hours. Finally, after our concerts had concluded, she spoke. I'm going to bed, she says. That was the end of it. There is no conflict. There is no debate. Nothing. She went to bed, and I remained up for a couple of hours playing video games before going to bed myself. I slept like a slug and awoke around 5 a.m. I wanted to serve her today since we had a marital therapy session during the lunch hour. I had previously told our therapist what I planned to do, so when we sat down and began the session, I didn't waste any time. I spoke with AP yesterday, I said. Yeah, I spoke to him as well, she says. Yeah, I know, I say. I don't understand it, she says. What makes you think you'd go speak to him? Because I wanted answers to certain questions I had, and you weren't being truthful with me, I said. Oh yeah? She says. So what did he say to you? Honey, he sold you down the river, I said. What does it mean? She asks. He told me everything about what you've been up to. The skulking around. The clandestine gatherings. Calls from the lovey-dovey kind. Everything. She was taken aback. Did he tell you? Yeah, everything, I said. I then proceeded to enumerate all of the facts I already knew about their messages, calls, meetings, dates, hours, and so on. She began to. It's evident to me that although you've been telling me one thing, your actions tell an entirely different tale. So I'm finished. What do you mean you're done? She asks. I deliver her the divorce papers. I'm looking for a divorce. She looked at the papers as if she were holding a venomous snake in her hands, and she was right. She then sought the services of a therapist for more guidance. Can you tell me how I can fix this? She wonders. I'm not seeking for a divorce at this time. I'm on the lookout for you. I want to be a part of our life. I'd want to stay for good. It's the therapist who asks, do you see where this is coming from? When your words and actions tell two different stories, you always rely on your actions to be correct. It is not the words that are the problem. My response is, your actions have told me all I needed to know. How can we go from here to there without bickering, without animosity, and without dragging our children through the mud? Says one. The rest of the conference proceeded without a hitch, as expected. There were several tears shed by both parties. I stressed how betrayed and upset I feel that she would continue on this affair behind my back, believing that I would be the nice fool who would never find out. I also expressed my disgust that she would do such a thing. She cried because her whole life, as she knows it, is about to come to an abrupt halt. It was my responsibility to advise her that I had cut off her financial support and that she may hire a divorce attorney with half of the money we had. I told her that she would be unable to continue to live in our home. She'll have to stay with family or friends for the time being. I told her I'd had enough and that there was no way we could ever be friends again. She broke down even more. Just as we were about to walk out of the office, she grabbed my hand and made yet another desperate effort to beg my forgiveness. She didn't respond as I my hand away, but she got the message that I was done with her and didn't want her in my life anymore. As she dropped to the ground, She cried uncontrollably. I walked away from her as soon as I went out the door. AP's wife received my call and I left her a voicemail as I was driving away from the therapist's office. The message said, "I really need to chat with you. If you could, please return my call as soon as possible." I quickly called my attorney and instructed her to file the paperwork but to put the TRO on hold until the situation grew dire. After I left, my wife called and texted me many times to check on me. I let them go to VM without paying attention to what they had to say. As I drove to her parents' house, I felt as if I were dead inside. Just as I was about to go inside the room, my phone rang. It was AP's wife who answered the phone when I called. He'd said absolutely nothing to her. I informed her that I needed to meet with her in person and asked if she could meet with me in an hour. After she said yes, we decided on a place and time for the meeting. I immediately went to her parents' house and informed them of the situation. Her mother fell into tears at the sight of her daughter. Her father sat still, his face expressionless. I told them that I loved her and had done all I could to make it work, but that I couldn't stand by while she cheated on me in secret. They were in such a state of disarray that it was impossible to assess their feelings. I assured them that I would not denigrate her or expose the facts of our divorce to our friends and family, but that they needed to understand why we were separating in order to help us move forward. In my conversation with them, I made it clear that I did not anticipate their assistance in this matter and that I, for one, wanted them to support her since she would need it. Everything comes back to my children at the end of it. It is not acceptable to me that my children spend their time with her in filth if she cannot afford a decent place to live. Her parents are able and willing to provide financial assistance to her. I informed them that I cherish their friendship and that I will miss them. Her father and I exchanged handshakes as I left, and I hugged her mother as well before leaving. Then I traveled to the meeting spot where I met AP's wife for the first time. I'm currently sitting in my car, waiting for her to come, which will take some time. I want to notify her and, if necessary, show her the video, and then let her decide how to go from that point on. Whenever she needs emotional support, I will be there to help her through it. Nobody should be forced to cope with this on their own. So that was the end of my day. After that, I have to meet with AP's wife, pick up my children from school, and change the locks on my house. As a result, I had an in-home security system built so that if she tries to steal or damage anything, it would be documented on video. I'm not too worried since she is also aware of the situation. There will be more in the future. Story 2. Caught my wife 32F cheating on me, 35 meters, by gut feeling and looking at her texts. My wife and I had been together since I was 16 years old. Since then, she's been shaming me mercilessly. She professes to be over heels in love with me. We've created a lifetime of memories together, and I've always been there for her, helping her pick up the pieces of her life and just allowing her to step back. I've also confronted the bad situations head on so that she didn't have to watch all of the strain. When her mother died, she begged me to protect her daughter and not forsake her on her deathbed, and I agreed. I made such promises to her in order to assist her kid. When her mother passed away, I regarded my wife in great regard. My employer told that I was unable to take time off to be with her. I resigned from my position to be with her. I've done all that I possibly could. It can only be explained by the fact that I'm not affectionate enough. Keep in mind that this is coming from a woman who never sits next to me, never touches me, never asks if I'm in pain. I was paralyzed for 2 years, just had hand surgery, and have a ripped all, but still put in 14-hour days, has never asked if I needed a massage, or anything. So that's a two-way street in my book. So I look through her phone and it's all her bad-mouthing me to her colleagues about how she made a connection with this fool, him twice, and would have him more if I hadn't discovered it. And just all the bad-mouthing me to her coworkers about how she made a connection with this fool. I can't think straight. I can't stop sobbing or shaking. I'm getting panic attacks all the time. She has taken away my dignity, pride, excitement, and heart. Despite her statements that she wants to stay with me and concentrate on our marriage, I feel she is lying since she hasn't sobbed in front of me. And she wishes to continue working at this job, where this guy works.